When Sony first announced they'd be releasing the PlayStation Classic, I was probably excited as everyone else to hear that Sony's first foray into the world of gaming was making its way back to our living rooms in a classic version. The PlayStation Classic will be the first 3D-based micro console to make its way to the market. And when the news of its release first came about, I was excited to replay all the amazing games that I played on the original version of the console. So I pre-ordered this as soon as I could. Now when they first released the trailer they showed only 5 games, of which only 2 I was excited about, Final Fantasy VII and Tekken 3. But I thought, hey, surely there's going to be a lot more classic games coming in the future to add to the list of the 20 games supported by this system. Then finally they released the 20 games that were going to be part of this new PlayStation Classic, and to be honest I was disappointed. Whilst it had some classic games like Grand Theft Auto and Metal Gear Solid, the selection of games just seemed disappointing from the vast library of games that the PlayStation 1 has. What the NES and SNES Classic did was perfectly represent the library of games that was available on each system. They chose the games that reflected our memories of the system and the games that we loved to play. And the problem with these 20 best games that they chose for the PlayStation is that they don't represent the PlayStation. They are not the 20 best games on the system. But I was still excited to play through some of the classics like Resident Evil and Metal Gear Solid, so I kept my pre-order. But then when the big gaming sites finally got their hands on this new console, they were disappointed. Not only was there a lackluster list of games, but in their words, the console did the bare minimum. No filters, no aspect ratio selection, only one save state per game, and it doesn't even have menu music when you're selecting your game. Now yes, we buy these consoles to play the games, but those little things, those little additions that they put on the NES and SNES Classic made the console feel like it was put together in a loving way. This bare bones version of the PlayStation just seems like a cash grab. So I cancelled my order. I realised I'm not going to play half the games on the system, and with no love put into the console itself, I have no reason to buy one. But here are a list of games that would have made me keep my pre-order in a heartbeat. Number 1, Wipeout. Like F-Zero X on the SNES, the Wipeout series let players experience fantastical levels of speed in futuristic racing. Players piloted extremely fast anti-gravity ships through dynamic high-tech courses. Gameplay revolved around extremely high speeds, power-ups and utilising air brakes for drifting turns around tight corners. Wipeout was praised for its intense gameplay and slick presentation, including a techno music soundtrack and a detailed background making it feel like the immersive and futuristic entertainment video games had promised to become since the 80s. Number 2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. The original Tony Hawk's Pro Skater was an enormous success when it launched in 1999, but it was the follow-up from the next year that truly cemented it as one of the most beloved sports franchises of all time. The action centred around an arcade-style gameplay, with the player flipping and grinding over open levels to rack up as many points as possible from tricks and combos within 2 minutes. Collectibles and level-centric objectives keep it spicy, and the addition of level and skater creation tools gave it a ton of replayability. For many, this remains one of the most highly rated sports games of all time. Number 3, Crash Bandicoot. Whilst recently remastered in full, Naughty Dog's original Crash Bandicoot trilogy endures as one of the most iconic 3D platforming series of the genre's heyday. As the eponymous Crash, you are a mutant bandicoot on a quest to stop Dr. Neo Cortex from taking over the world with an army of other mutant animals. The gameplay is standard for the genre, patrolling enemies, jumping challenges, power-ups and collectibles. It was highly praised at the time for its visuals, which felt more like a playable cartoon than any game to date. The vibrant character in Crash's various death animations were particularly memorable in that regard. Number 4, Tomb Raider 2. The original Tomb Raider essentially founded the genre of 3D action-adventure games, but it's the sequel that really made it sing. A radical departure from the cutesy cartoon mascots of the previous console generation, international treasure hunter Lara Croft was immediately embraced as one of gaming's most iconic characters, heralding the medium's maturation. The first game's mix of exploration, platforming, combat and puzzle solving was expanded substantially for a sequel, with refined controls, bigger environments and more exciting set pieces. Tomb Raider 2 was definitely the best in the series on the original PlayStation console. Number 5. Resident Evil. Whilst the first Resident Evil is beloved for creating survival horror, Resident Evil 2 perfected the formula. It picks up 2 months after the events of the original, as the Umbrella Corporation zombie plague spreads from the company's labs to the nearby Raccoon City. Like the first game, it features 2 protagonists, puzzles, exploration and limited resources for ammo and saving the game, forcing careful and strategic gameplay. It added the zapping system, in which players could revisit scenarios multiple times as different characters, with unique challenges designed for each of them. Its presentation was also praised, as improving upon the first game in virtually every way. Though the series has continued for decades, many still consider the second the high watermark. And so as I said, I've cancelled my pre-order. Without these kind of games on the system, the price just doesn't reflect what you're getting for your money. Compared to the mini consoles from Nintendo, the PlayStation have just phoned it in this time. And whilst it might be hacked in the future so you can add your own 20 perfect games onto the console, there's already other emulation systems where you can do that. But what do you think? Are you still excited for the PlayStation Classic, or will you be saving yourself £90? Let us know in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.